Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive developments coming your way this Tuesday, February 3, as Port Charles faces a whirlwind of manipulation, legal warfare, and dangerous secrets that threaten to tear families apart and expose hidden conspiracies. Willow's desperate gambit. The tension reaches a boiling point when Willow Kane makes an audacious and calculated move that could change everything. Fresh off her acquittal, Willow isn't content with simply walking free from criminal charges. Instead, she's laser-focused on the one thing that matters most to her: reclaiming custody of her beloved children, Wiley and Amelia. With desperation driving her actions and motherly instinct overriding any sense of propriety, Willow storms into Alexis Davis's office unannounced, catching the seasoned attorney completely off guard. This isn't a casual visit or a friendly consultation. Willow arrives with fierce determination etched across her face, making it abundantly clear that she needs Alexis's legal prowess now more than ever before. While Alexis successfully defended Willow in court and secured her acquittal against all odds, Willow isn't satisfied with that victory alone. She demands that Alexis continue representing her in what promises to be a brutal custody battle against Michael. The stakes couldn't be higher, and Willow knows she needs the best legal mind in Port Charles fighting in her corner. When Alexis hesitates or attempts to decline the representation, Willow reveals just how far she's willing to go. In a move that can only be described as morally questionable at best, Willow brings up Danny Morgan, Alexis's grandson, as leverage in this high-stakes negotiation. The implication is crystal clear and deeply manipulative if Alexis agrees to represent her and helps her regain access to her children. Willow would be willing to facilitate visits between Danny and his half-sister Scout Quartermain. This calculated offer puts Alexis in an incredibly difficult position, forcing her to weigh her professional ethics against her personal desire to see her grandson happy and connected to his sister. The spoilers indicate that alarm bells immediately start ringing in Alexis's head as she processes the full implications of Willow's proposition. This isn't just about legal representation anymore, it's about emotional blackmail disguised as a mutually beneficial arrangement. Alexis finds herself torn between her instinct to refuse such a transparently manipulative offer and her understanding that Willow genuinely believes she's fighting for her children's well-being. The veteran lawyer recognizes the desperation of a mother separated from her kids, but she also sees the dangerous precedent this sets. Despite her reservations and the ethical red flags waving frantically in her mind, Alexis may reluctantly agree to take on Willow's case. Her decision likely stems from a combination of factors: sympathy for a mother's plight, recognition of Danny's need to connect with Scout, and perhaps a pragmatic understanding that someone will represent Willow regardless. So it might as well be someone who can attempt to moderate her more extreme impulses. Once she makes this difficult decision, Alexis picks up the phone to contact Michael and explore whether there's any possibility of reaching a reasonable compromise that serves everyone's interests, especially the children caught in the middle of this bitter conflict. Michael's explosive reaction. However, Michael Corinthos is absolutely not in the mood for compromises, negotiations, or olive branches. When he receives word of Willow's latest maneuver through whatever channels deliver the news, his fury erupts like a volcano that's been building pressure for weeks. At Sonny's place, surrounded by the familiar trappings of his father's world, Michael unleashes a torrent of anger that makes his position unmistakably clear to everyone within earshot. "She wants a compromise, she can come to me," Michael declares with barely contained rage, his voice dripping with contempt and wounded pride. This powerful statement, captured in Monday's preview video, reveals just how deeply betrayed Michael feels by Willow's actions. He sees her approach as yet another example of manipulation and underhanded tactics, rather than genuine attempts at reconciliation or co-parenting cooperation. From Michael's perspective, Willow's decision to go through intermediaries and use leverage involving other people's children demonstrates exactly why he believes she's unfit to have custody in the first place. Michael's adamant stance suggests he views any attempt at compromise as weakness or capitulation to someone he now sees as an adversary, rather than the woman he once loved and married. His insistence that Willow come directly to him if she truly wants to negotiate reveals his need to maintain control over the situation and ensure that any discussions happen on his terms, not through legal representatives or third-party mediators. This confrontational approach virtually guarantees that the custody battle will escalate rather than de-escalate, setting the stage for an increasingly bitter and potentially destructive legal war. Recognizing that Michael needs the strongest possible legal representation to counter Alexis's formidable skills, Sonny Corinthos steps in with a strategic decision. He puts Rick Lansing to work as Michael's attorney, giving the lawyer another opportunity to demonstrate his capabilities and prove his worth. This assignment carries significant weight because Rick desperately needs to rebuild his reputation and convince the Corinthos family that he's genuinely on their side. Representing Michael in such a high-profile, emotionally charged custody case gives Rick the perfect platform to showcase his legal acumen while simultaneously proving his loyalty to the family. The pressure is immense, but so is the opportunity for redemption and advancement within the Corinthos orbit. Jason and Britt's dangerous path. In a completely different corner of Port Charles's complex web of intrigue, Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne find themselves navigating treacherous waters after their intimate encounter at the harbor master's place. The morning after brings clarity and determination rather than regret, as Jason makes his intentions explicitly clear to Britt. Standing in the harsh light of day, he tells her with characteristic directness that walking out of that location represents the crucial first step in setting her free from whatever dangerous entanglement has trapped her. Britt has finally agreed to accept Jason's help, a decision that required swallowing her considerable pride and acknowledging that she cannot escape her current predicament alone. However, both of them understand that agreement is merely the beginning of what promises to be an extraordinarily difficult and potentially deadly journey. The dangerous arrangement that Britt has become entangled in doesn't release people easily, and extracting herself will require careful planning, strategic thinking, and probably a fair amount of risk-taking that could endanger both of them. The spoilers reveal that Britt stands on the verge of a disturbing discovery that could change everything. This revelation might involve learning that Jocelyn Jacks has somehow come onto director Ross Cullum's radar, potentially placing Jason's niece in significant danger. Alternatively, the discovery could involve some other unsettling news related to the criminal conspiracy or dangerous operations that have ensnared Britt in the first place, whatever she uncovers. It promises to complicate their situation dramatically and possibly force them to act more quickly than originally planned, even if rapid action increases the risks involved. Marco's hidden agenda. Meanwhile, at Bobby's, Lucas Jones attempts to take the next natural step in his relationship with Marco Rios by suggesting they find their own apartment together. From Lucas's perspective, this makes perfect sense, as they've been together long enough that moving in together represents a logical progression of their relationship. He likely envisions creating their own private space where they can build their life together without the complications of living in someone else's home, no matter how welcoming that home might be. However, Marco's reaction catches Lucas completely off guard. Instead of the enthusiasm, or at least openness, Lucas expected, Marco displays surprising resistance to the entire idea. He may even be adamant about remaining at Windermere, insisting that staying in that particular location serves purposes that he cannot or will not fully explain to Lucas. This unexpected opposition immediately raises red flags in Lucas's mind, leaving him confused and more than a little hurt by Marco's inexplicable reluctance to take this relationship milestone together. What Lucas doesn't know, and what makes Marco's behavior both understandable and deeply troubling, is that Marco is secretly helping Jen Sidwell with various shady criminal activities that require his continued presence at Windermere. This clandestine arrangement puts Marco in an impossible position. He cannot explain his real reasons for wanting to stay without exposing his criminal involvement. But his refusal to leave without explanation damages his relationship with Lucas and creates suspicion where he can least afford it. Lucas, being no fool, will undoubtedly start questioning why Marco is so resistant to finding their own place, potentially setting up future discoveries that could destroy their relationship entirely. Tracy's disappearance creates panic. In lighter but no less dramatic developments, Brooklyn Quartermain experiences a moment of sheer panic when she realizes that Tracy Quartermain has gone missing. The matriarch's unexplained absence sends Brooklyn into immediate crisis mode, understanding all too well that Tracy's sharp tongue and strong opinions have made her plenty of enemies over the years. Turning to Giovanni Gio Palmieri and Emma Scorpio Drake, Brooklyn urgently insists that they must find Tracy immediately. her voice likely rising with each passing moment that her grandmother remains unaccounted for. Fortunately for everyone's blood pressure and peace of mind, Tracy is perfectly safe, though certainly not where anyone expected to find her. She's gotten stuck with Martin Gray at Drew Kane's house, a situation that probably involves locked doors, malfunctioning electronics, or some other mundane mishap that turned into an extended captivity for two people who likely have very different ideas about how to spend their time. The image of Tracy trapped anywhere with anyone promises both comic relief and sharp-witted dialogue that only she can deliver. It won't take long before Brooklyn receives updates about Tracy's location and current status, allowing her to breathe a massive sigh of relief and probably roll her eyes at the absurdity of the entire situation. The panic will give way to exasperation, but the underlying love and concern that Brooklyn feels for her grandmother will shine through despite whatever sarcastic comments she makes. About the incident afterward, Emma's mysterious call. Finally, the day brings Emma Scorpio Drake a significant phone call that could have far-reaching implications for multiple storylines currently unfolding in Port Charles. The nature and content of this call remain tantalizingly unclear, but speculation points toward two primary possibilities that could each reshape the current landscape dramatically. The call might deliver crucial information about Anna Devane, Emma's grandmother, whose current whereabouts or activities have become matters of intense concern for those who love her. Alternatively, and perhaps more ominously, this could represent director Ross Cullum's calculated attempt to throw Emma off a trail she's been following, using misdirection and carefully crafted lies to steer her away from discovering something that powerful people desperately want to keep hidden. Emma will need to use all her considerable intelligence and her inherited investigative instincts to determine whether the information she receives represents genuine intelligence or dangerous disinformation designed to manipulate her actions and protect criminal conspiracies operating in the shadows of Port Charles.